Today our team will be talking to you about the results we found in our report for the FGP Customer Loyalty Program. A loyalty program can be of great use for any organization that is wanting to build a strong connection with their customer base and increase revenue. Incorporating effective loyalty programs not only expands an important customer base, but furthermore positions firms to align brand offerings with customer preferences and behavioral data, and this will strengthen brand building strategy and competitive advantage. However, as seen with the FGP Customer Loyalty Program, it can become costly and less effective if the organization cannot truly understand their customer preferences and who they need to target. In today's presentation, our team will discuss with you how we were able to solve the managerial problems that have arisen within the FGP Customer Loyalty Program. We dove deep into the customer data to answer these three questions. Firstly, how to estimate the value of the customer in the loyalty program, which group of customers are the most valuable, and how to predict if the customer will churn. So in order to answer these questions, our team critically analyzed a set of data of 2,000 customers and used descriptive statistics to address this managerial need. We used regression and ANOVA functions to understand relationships between different variables among the customers. Moreover, we used a series of bar, line, and column graphs to see the difference in trends in the variables and to understand the customer purchase and redemption records. In addition, we used SaaS software to cluster the group of similar customers to understand demographics and to further see which group of customers will churn in the future. Our team will diligently talk you through the different methodologies used, giving you a clear understanding of how the results were found. We aim to give you insights into how to potentially guide an expansion of the loyalty program, highlighting who your most valuable customers are. Furthermore, we will help show how all the merchants can benefit from a loyalty program. Now my colleague Isabella will talk you through the first research question.
First question is how we evaluate the value of a customer in our loyalty program. To do this, we firstly run a regression analysis on Net Promoter, so how likely it is that a customer will promote our product. The regression analysis incorporated satisfaction of program, fast food, petrol, grocery, sale amount, and point rewarded. The R-square value was 0.437, meaning that 43.7% of the change in overall Net Promoter was due to the functions that we looked at. When looking at the variables themselves, we see three that have a very high correlation, and these include satisfaction of program, fast food, and petrol. So these three variables are the ones that are most highly influence the Net Promoter function. The p-value of the ANOVA test was also less than 0.05, therefore it's a significant test. We also look at customer lifetime value in order to determine the profit attributed from each customer and the future relationship that we may have with them. It helps us assess the financial view of a customer in each merchant member. So, the results of our analysis were that customers from grocery stores have the highest CLV of $40.13, while customers from petrol stations and fast food chains have a much lower CLV of $13.57, $5.19, and finally $10.20 respectively. Company manage to optimize customer acquisition strategies by trying to minimize how much they spend on each customer. As grocery store customers are more valuable than others, the company can spend a little more on grocery stores to acquire them. I'll now move you to Lin for questions.
Research question, we're gonna find which group of people are most valuable. To estimate the value of the customer in the loyalty program, we must look at both the sum of the sales and net promotion among different customer segments. The total amount of sales can inform us of where the most amount of revenue is generated, and the average can show which customers are spending the most. The Net Promoter shows the likelihood that a person will recommend the product, and thus is of vital importance to the value of the customer. From this figure, we can find that race 1 and others spend more on average than race 2. Despite having similar average spending amount, others display advanced spending patterns with much larger standard deviation than the other two groups, and it is less reliable to represent revenue turnover in the future. So race 1 previews as our targeted group. In the first graph, customers who own a car spend more money on average, and in the second one, it shows car owners have a higher net promotion. This suggests the fact that car owners may have greater accessibility and they may be more likely to have a higher disposable income. So we also found that females are better net promoter, exceeding males by 70% of the grand total. In the second graph, we can see that more recently the customer joined the loyalty program, the more valuable they are. The revenue in 2014 is much more higher than that in previous years. By calculating the sales from different generation groups, we can find that General Y engaged the most in sales and promotion activities. The graph highlights the trend which sees the increase in the net promotion and sales amount increase significantly from traditional list to General Y. This may be because General Y is more engaged with social media and other forms of technology, which help promote and market different products. Furthermore, this figure shows the average sales amount among the alternative cities. We can see that City B spend the most on average. Finally, it is noticeable that customers with credit card generally spend more money with each purchase. In this graph, with smaller standard deviation and variance in comparison to what we found about people without credit card, it indicates a more reliable spending patterns and better overall sales revenue in the long run. This can be explained as having a credit card enables people to purchase easier, thus resulting in better revenue for individual chain. So we conclude that the most valuable group of people are race 1, General Y females who have a car and credit card living in City B and recently joined loyalty program. So we move to the third research question.
And lastly, for the third research question, it would be how to predict if a customer will churn. And so for this, our team ran a binary logistic regression. And what is a binary logistic regression? So it is a logistic regression that deals with situations in which the observed outcome for a dependent variable only has two possible types, which is a 0 and a 1. And that is why our team decided to dummy variable all the data for the customers who have been active in 2016, such as their gender, their race, their satisfaction, etc. And after all these data have been included and put into this regression, there is a classification table that is being produced. So how do we read this? So for example, these two columns would describe the success and the failure observed values, and these are the predicted values. So for example, this one, 1,933 customers have been predicted to succeed and to be successful and continuing in the FGP loyalty program. However, only 1,463 are actually observed, and these are those who fail. Same way with this, 51 are the customers that we predict to fail, but actually 27 people would still continue, with 24 as their failure observed. And so if we tally 27 and 24, we'll get 51, and 51 would be the churn rate, which is the number of people who will not continue with the FGP in 2017. This is with a cutoff rate of 0.5, which means that anything above 0.5 is a failure, anything below is a success, with an accuracy of 0.7495, which means that this data by the classification table through the binary logistic regression is done with a 75% accuracy, which means that it is accurate. Also, we conducted a regression analysis as well for the customers, and as can be seen from the independent variables of the fast food, petrol, and grocery, these three merchant individual satisfaction would affect the overall customer satisfaction. And so if we look at the table over here, we can see that the highest coefficient would be 0.71, which is belonging from fast food, which means that fast food would affect the overall customer satisfaction the most, while grocery has 0.1 coefficient, which means that it would affect the overall customer satisfaction the least. However, this regression analysis has an R-square of 0.437, and therefore with the slow R-square, this means that the predictions of the churn rate would not be reliable, and therefore the previous binary logistic regression is a more reliable source for us to predict the churn rate. And now, moving on to Joe for conclusions and limitations.
So this is our conclusion. As the question revolves around the value of our customers, we focus on the satisfaction rating program and also the net promoter to identify the best possible group. And net promoter rating is greatly influenced by the purchase of petrol and fast food. So by focusing on these two groups, we can ensure our profitability. Besides, Gen Y, Race 1, and people with credit card are found to spend more money overall. Finally, there are 50 buyers that will likely to churn in the next year, which means they will not stay with our product, with our brand. So there is an underlying problem that needs answer from experts to stop this from happening in the future. Next will be our limitation. The lack of figures to calculate customer lifetime value was a problem for us because we had to go online and look up answers for that. So it reduces our credibility for the research. Furthermore, the research questions are not that reliable as it was very basic and it might contain errors and biases from the person who are interviewed. Alongside the process of working with the data, we found out so many outliers and errors and blank answers, but we tried to work out and we tried to leave them out of the research for our best possible outcome. The final words will be: the nature of a data research is not to be used exhaustively or definitely by any means necessary. As a CEO or a person that will use this research in the future, you have to get the knowledge, you have to have the knowledge and the support from experts in order to make the final decision as best as possible, because this can only be used as a suggestion. It cannot be a definite answer to any problem. And that will be the end of our research and our presentation. Thank you for listening.